Welcome, everyone, to the Holstein House podcast. I'm the West Virginia woman, Robin, of RobinHolstein.com and Holstein House, where my guests get a great night's sleep at a fair rate plus breakfast. This is a podcast that looks at society and culture issues affecting families in West Virginia and the United States, from food preparation and storage, gardening, home repairs, current events, and more. We'll go around the table and back in 60 minutes or less. So let's hang out and talk a while. Good morning from the breakfast room table. I call this the breakfast room. We don't always have breakfast in here, but it's the room. It's would have originally been called the kitchen here, but we have a dining room in there, and I just love it. We've got a really nice bright color, gorgeous windows, lovely sun coming in this time of the year. So I really enjoy it here. The lighting's probably going to fluctuate a little bit because of these windows, but you will have that. And welcome to the Holstein House broadcast. I'm Robin Holstein. Excuse me, I'm proprietor here at Holstein House, and I want to welcome you. Oh, pardon me. I always hit the hiccups. I don't know if it's a nervous thing or subconscious thing or what, but this is episode 89 of the Holstein House broadcast. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the poultry expansion project, some home canning, probably a little more on home canning, the dehydration workshop I'm going to have, and a bunch more stuff related to running Holstein House. And running a small bed and breakfast from your homestead. It is actually August the 15th. So, this year, we say it all the time, this year is flying by, but it's just really a challenge for me to accept the fact that this is the 15th day of August, which means that Labor Day is just a couple weeks away. And Labor Day being the unofficial ending of summer and the beginning of fall. I know a lot of my friends and family are all about the pumpkin spice. I'm not. I like pumpkin pie, but I don't like things flavored. I don't like pumpkin yogurt or pumpkin pudding or pumpkin cookies or any of that stuff. There's a few things that I'm peculiar that way. Pumpkin is one, bananas are another. I love fresh bananas, but I don't like banana pudding. I do like banana bread, but it's not really a strong banana flavor. But banana flavored things I'm not a fan of, but bananas themselves I really enjoy. So we're streaming. I hope my streams are working properly. I hope I'm not too loud for folks. I should have a stream running over on Rumble. And if you are over there and it is working, I hope you will say hello. Let me see if that's working. I think it is. Be sure and comment and in the chat or in the comment, either one, and let me know that you're there and let me know that it's being seen. I have several different social media projects out there, and I don't get a lot of interaction on a lot of them. Some of them I get all kinds of interactions, and some of them I don't. But we're glad to. I'm trying to balance that cup. Glad to have you here, and looking forward to a nice conversation this morning. So, one of the things that we're going to talk about today, we'll just touch real quick on it. I picked up some canning, this under just general household stuff. I picked up some canning tomatoes and some canning peaches yesterday at the farm market. And if you're not sure what those are fruits or vegetables, because you can get beans and squash and all that stuff at a discount because they're so close to going bad. They're at the height of their ripeness, and some may have a few blemishes, and they're selling them at a discount in a large purchase, in a bulk purchase. And I don't have my receipts in here. I did get receipts for them because I was there at so many different booths yesterday, and sometimes the different booths have produce packaged up very similarly. And my little buffer thingy on my mouse came off. So you purchase, you'll see a box, say a box of tomatoes, and mine's over there. It's out of the camera sight, but a large tomatoes, and they're marked down. I got mine for $12.50 a box, and I got 2 boxes of them, and it's going to make quite a bit of tomato juice for me. But you purchase those in bulk, and they are of a size or a ripeness that need to be processed and put away right away, and so they're called canners. And so I got those. The peaches, I only got 1 box of peaches, and I got 2 boxes of tomatoes. I did get some potatoes, but they're the small white ones. I won't can those because I'm going to have to go through the skinning them, but I'll process those and put them in the freezer. But so that's what I'm doing this morning. And I wanted to share with you, if I can get that. Share the screen. That's not the right one. Let me get to the right picture here, and I will show you what I'm talking about. These are the add to stream. There's that. Let me do it this way. Let's see if there we go. See Betty's sweet little face there. My little girl Betty. Actually, she's Wayne's little girl. She's a daddy's dog. She tolerates me, but she loves her daddy. So this is what I got. These are 2 canning boxes of canning tomatoes here. These are the peaches. This is the big haul of potatoes, new potatoes I got, or small white potatoes, I should say. And I think what I'm going to do with those, I'm going to mash some with just water and maybe some salt, and try to dehydrate those. I need to get a tray for that, though. I don't have the proper kind of tray to do that unless I do it in the oven, which is always an option. I'll think that through a little more. But that's what they look like. Let me see which direction I want to go. Do I want to go this way? No, I want to go this way. Nope. Do you want to see that? Don't want to see that. Sorry, that's this morning's temperature, about 5 o'clock outside. I usually post that up on some of the socials. So here's what I really wanted to show you this morning. This is what I'm working on. This is a part of a box, because you see these are really huge beef steak potatoes or tomatoes. These are really monsters. And what I have here is a vinegar water bath, and I soak and clean the tomatoes and fruits too, strawberries especially, strawberries and blueberries. This will help extend the life of them, actually, because it'll kill off mold and stuff that's on them. So I give them a bath in a vinegar and water solution, about a 1/4 cup to the gallon of water there. And I have this pan here. It's a plastic pan, that dish pan that I keep in the sink for such emergencies. So I have it marked on the side. You can't see them. The noise you hear there is my little electric pressure cooker going off. I have it marked for 1 gallon, 1.5 gallon, and 2 gallons, so that I can, just fill it up with water, and I know how much is in there. I took a Sharpie pen and marked out the outside of it, and I know how much water's in it, and I can add either water, vinegar, or whatever it is that I need to put in there for my fruits and vegetables. So, and then you you take the top off the tomatoes, you cut off any bad spots, and then you quarter them. And then this is the pot you just heard go beeping. You fill this up. You set it for tomatoes. Take about 5 minutes in the. This is not an Instapot brand. It is a Cook's Choice brand. I think I got this from QVC, but the idea is the same. It's an electric pressure cooker, not a pressure canner. It's an electric pressure cooker. And I just put them in here with nothing and set it for 5 minutes and let it pressure cook these down. And then I don't have a picture for that, but I will strain those and put them in a I'll strain them and then, you fill the jars and then process them. I'll be using my steam canner today, probably all day after I get off here working on this little machine. Just does not like to process video. It's really not intended for this, but I needed to be up here instead of downstairs while that stuff is processing. But anyway, so this is my steam canner that I got a few weeks ago, and I did a little video on doing some watermelon rind preserves with this, and it's really nice. I like it. I've used it a few times now. It was simple to put together. It's just, I do suggest, if you've never used one before, be sure and read. I know a lot of people don't like to read, but read the instructions, because there is a limit to this. This is not pressure. This is steam, and it takes the place of a water bath canning for your vegetables and stuff, and fruits and your jellies and jams and things that you would water bath can. And it does not sterilize specifically. You don't put things in here to sterilize them. I guess you could try it. I would, if I did it, but see, then you're playing around. I would turn my jars upside down and put them in for 10 minutes if I did that. But I'm not going to do it. The reason I'm not going to do it today is I don't have to. But anyway, so this particular steam canner takes 2 1/2 quarts of water in the bottom, and the bottom is here. This is the lid, and then the temperature gauge. So that's what I'm going to be using today. It doesn't take as much water. Obviously, it takes 2 1/2 quarts, and I'm not having to heave up and lift things out of that and lift this big, heavy water bath canner. Big, heavy water bath canner still has its place in the world, so don't get rid of yours just yet. But it does make it a lot easier to process fruits and vegetables that you're going to process in like I said, it takes the place of a water bath canner. So today I'm working on the tomatoes. I'll be working on the peaches later this afternoon, but I wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit because it's the full swing of canning season, and there is some discussion about whether you have to sterilize jars or not. Now, I have all of my jars that I'm going to be using today, or that I anticipate using today, in the dishwasher because they needed to be washed out. Even though I keep them upside down on the shelves and stuff, there's still dust in the air and dust that can get in them, and they just need to be cleaned. I don't put lids on mine when I store them because sometimes those metal rings, these metal rings might get some dampness in here, and then they corrode to the jar. And then if you're using an old lid turned upside down, to try to keep it clean inside, I mean, you can still do that, but if there's at least, in my basement is fairly damp, considering the rest of the house. I mean, it's not everything drippy and moldy, but if you get dampness in here, it can corrode to the jar and stain, or even chip if you're having trouble getting the ring off the jar. So I wanted to talk a little bit about sterilizing the jars. Now, if you're using a pressure canner, you don't have to sterilize your jars, but they do need to be clean. So, give them a good hot soapy water, or a run through the dishwasher, and make sure they're good and clean. But if you're using a water bath canner, you need to sterilize your jars, especially if you are not processing your food 10 minutes or more. Or if they're not a high acid food. So I did look this up. This is the USDA, National Institute of Food and Agriculture. This is the 2015 edition, but it's a 2020 printing. That's when I ordered it, because it's print on demand, and that way they know that it's updated. You can download those for free, but we're talking a good couple hundred pages anyway, plus it's front and back. So I went ahead and just paid for it because I don't want to print it out, use all my equipment, and then try to bind it, and then whatever. It was just as easy. It's not very expensive. You can get it on Amazon. So I thought I had it marked. I don't have it marked on sterilizing jars. Where'd it go? I just had it. Darn it. I'm sorry. I have the page I have marked is the tomatoes, and I know I had this. I had it marked. Well, I thought I had it marked for the page for sterilizing your jars. It can't be very far through here because what you have to do is you have to make sure that you're not allowing or providing an environment friendly to botulism. Clostridium botulism, I think is how it's pronounced. And the thing about it can grow, it can survive very high heats, and it can grow in anaerobic environments. And anaerobic means that there's no air transference. So when you're home canning and you're sealing your jars, there's no air transference between what's in the jar and the outside environment. So Clostridium botulism can grow. And people like to poo-poo that sometimes, but I mean, why would you play around with it? Why would you play around with it? It's a poisonous toxin. Where is my thumb? I'm probably looking right past it. But it takes 10 minutes in a water bath canner to sterilize what's inside it, above more than 10 minutes. So you need to either sterilize your jars by submerging them in boiling water for 10 minutes. And then you want to be careful about how you pick them up. You want to use your tongs and stuff, make sure those are clean as well. And or you can and then filling with your hot foods and then processing. Or you can, as long as your foods are processed more than 10 minutes, you can use just washed. They have to be hot processed, hot packed and processed for more than 10 minutes. That will sterilize the content. Daggone, I wish I could find that. That drives me crazy when I can't. I know I was looking right at it, and I thought, here it is, and I did something, and close that page. Oh. And I swear I thought I even had it highlighted where it talks about sterilizing the food. But this book is awesome. It really should be your canning Bible. You should have this, even if you've been canning for a long time, because sometimes we get distracted and we have what I like to what I like to call cerebral flatulence. If you think about that for a minute, you'll guess what it is: cerebral flatulence. And we just are, we just blank out and we think, what I can't remember. So you have this to fall back on. Here it is. I knew I had it. I just didn't have it marked. In this book, it is page 1-14, which would be chapter 1, page 14. It's a stupid way to number books, but it's down at the bottom. All jams, jellies, and pickled products processed less than 10 minutes should be filled into sterilized or sterile empty jars. To sterilize empty jars after washing in detergent and rinsing thoroughly, submerge them right side up in a boiling water canner with the rack on the bottom. Fill the canner with enough jars completely submerged. Bring the water to a boil and boil for 10 minutes at altitudes less than 1,000 feet. At higher elevations, boil 1 additional minute for each additional 1,000 feet elevation. Reduce the heat under the canner and keep the jars in the hot water until it's time to fill them. Remove and drain hot sterilized jars one at a time, saving the hot water in the canner for processing filled jars. Fill the sterilized jars with foods, add lids, and tighten screw bands. Empty jars used for vegetables, meats, and fruits to be processed in a pressure canner need not be pre-sterilized. It's also unnecessary to pre-sterilize jars for fruits, tomatoes, and pickles, or fermented foods that will be processed 10 minutes or longer in a boiling water canner. So that's the page I was looking for, and I apologize for all that back and forth stammering and around. I should have found it a lot sooner. I thought I had it marked better. Now, the thing about it is tomatoes are a high acid food. So for tomatoes and tomato juice, ensure safe acidity in whole crushed or juiced tomatoes. Add 2 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice or a half teaspoon of citric acid per quart of tomatoes. For pints, use 1 tablespoon bottled lemon juice, or a quarter teaspoon citric acid. Acid can be added directly to the jars before filling with the product. Add sugar to offset the acid taste, which sounds silly to me, but I mean, I don't want acidy tasting, but here we're going to increase the acidity, but we're going to put sugar in it. Sweet and sour, I guess. If desired, add sugar. 4 tablespoons of a 5%, note that 5%, acidity vinegar per quart may be used instead of lemon juice or citric acid. However, vinegar may cause undesirable flavor changes. When a procedure in this guide for canning tomatoes offers both boiling water and pressure canning options, all steps in the preparation procedure are still required, even if the pressure processing option is chosen. This includes acidification. The boiling water and pressure alternatives are equal processes with different time and temperature combinations calculated for these products. The use of a pressure canner will result in a higher quality, more nutritious canned tomato product. If your pressure canner cannot be operated above 15 psi, select a process time at a lower pressure. So what I'm going to do with mine is I'm making juice, and I'm making juice so that I can use it in boil it down more into a sauce, or boil it down, or use it in chili, because I like to make chili. I think a lot of people do. This is citric acid. It's a powder. This way. It's a powder. This is Ball Company. There are others out there. It's fine to use. They're all pretty good. And it's a powder, and you add it. It says it replaces lemon juice, and you add it to acidify your tomatoes. Now, we've talked about it before that tomatoes aren't as acidic today as they used to be back in Grandma's day. I hope, if I don't forget, I have some strips. I should have got those over here. I have some strips over there that you test for acidity, for pH. And I'm going to try, after I get through all of my tomatoes today and get them down into juice, I'm going to test the batch of juice and see where it is. Then I'm going to look up real quick and see what if there's if I can find what the pH was, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Real lemon, it doesn't have to be this brand. I keep forgetting it goes backwards. It doesn't have to be this brand, but it needs to be lemon juice. This is from concentrated 100% lemon juice. You don't get, be careful, read the labels, because this has lemon juice, concentrate, and less than 2% of lemon oil. sodium sulfate. Make sure that what you buy is lemon juice and not lemon flavored something. That's going to make a big difference because of the acidity. Let me, give me a second here. All right. So tomatoes today tend to be less acidic than they were in the past. And that's part of the reason why we add the acid. But another reason is to also to kill any bacteria or mold spores and things like that. So to help because it's going to sit there for a while. And like I said, botulism will grow and you may not know it. And people say, well, if you're worried about it, then boil your stuff for 10 minutes before you eat it. Well, yeah, you can do that. You can do that. But if you're worried about it, the first time. Process it properly the first time if you're worried about it. And that way you don't have to be worried about it. But so I have a bunch of jars. I have so many jars, people. It's not even funny. I really got to spend some time in the basement working on the rotation of stock down there. I have so many things because there have been times when Mr. Holstein's working out of town and I would take advantage of sales at the store, because I'm not feeding him when he was working out of town. It was just me. And I would take advantage of sales and things and purchase groceries and put things up so that we would have them in the pantry for our disaster preparedness. So I have a lot down there and I haven't rotated through it the way I should have. So I've got to get more accountable on that and get that done. I know there's some folks that I follow on other YouTube channels that have month-long challenges for each other on processing their foods and stuff, and shopping from their own pantries, and not buying anything from the store that's not fresh food for a month. Use everything you've got in your pantry, and I have those good intentions as well. But I just for whatever reason I don't get it done. So after I get the tomatoes done, hopefully today, I'm hoping it won't take but a couple batches to get through those. I'll keep a few tomatoes back to eat because I enjoy tomatoes, not as much as my mother did, but I enjoy tomatoes, and I want to keep a few of those. The tomatoes in my garden are slowly coming along. I don't know if they're polluted with green ones, little green cherry tomatoes, but they're not ripening fast. I'm getting 4 or 5 a day, and that's about that. That's okay. I don't know that you might be able to see right there. Actually, is a basket hanging in my window, and it's just a little. I got it at the dollar store somewhere. It's just a little basket intended to use for making a hanging basket for your plants or something. And I've been putting those little not quite good and red tomatoes in there and letting them sit because they get good evening sun, and it ripens them up pretty good, and then they hit the refrigerator until I eat them. Tomatoes or strawberry plants are still producing kind of slow. They're slowing down, so they're still hanging in there. I can still get 3 or 4 strawberries a day off of those and enjoy a little bit of a strawberry. All right, let's see. Oh, the peaches. I was going to do. I'm going to do peaches next. Just so because of the gnat factor, the gnats. And this window here, I am going to close as well. I've got some delays and stuff happening on my end. If you're out there and you're watching, they have that little thumbs up thing and like thing. Hit those for me, and then at least say hello. At least say hello. I'd like to know that who I'm talking to. So we'll close that window there, and that should help my streaming a little bit. So I was having a little trouble there with some delays, but I've also got quite a bit. I've been working on watermelon preserves, and Mr. Holstein has gifted me with a couple more sets of watermelon rinds that I will be processing. I need to actually probably should do those before I process the peaches, because the watermelon rinds don't hold up as well, and if they get kind of 'cause they're in the refrigerator, they're in Ziploc bags in the refrigerator, but if they get kind of rubbery, then it's a nightmare to work with them, and it's a pain to make anyway, because you got to peel that outside green off there. Oh, it is. So it's a challenge. I do have, excuse me for getting too close, I do have a jar here of the last batch of watermelon rind preserves that I did for my, Wayne's going to take it to his mom. But what you see in here, it kind of looks like apples, but it's not. It's the watermelon rind. And we've got some cloves and some cinnamon sticks in there. It's just what I need to have that hit the floor. Whew, that'd be terrible. But it's fun. It's different. You can't just go anywhere and find it, because most people don't think to make it. But they're very sweet, very sweet. So if you have trouble with sweet things, you want to use a little caution there. Our friend John has used them. He's taken them and mixed them in a little bit of, was it ranch dressing? Just to make a little dip, a little bit, and used it with some fish, like a tartar sauce. Instead of tartar sauce, he used that. He said it was really good. I don't know. I don't know if I would try it or not, but John did. I love John. I haven't talked to John in a little while. But I did go down this morning and gathered up all of my wandering mason jars. I tell you what, one of the biggest challenges I have is storing the empty jars until I use them again. And some of the boxes that I've had, when you buy them, they're in corrugated boxes with the little dividers, and some of those have become damp, or we've had a couple episodes of water in the basement and they've gotten actually wet and ruined. And trying to find a replacement for those is just crazy. I get things that I think, oh, this is the perfect size, and then it's not. It's not. So storing them has really been a challenge, and I would love to hear anybody's ideas on places you found that you could get. I've heard Uline, U-Line, has some either boxes or dividers that you can get for them. But there has to be a better way than that. I hate to buy a bunch of new stuff if I've got everything I need to fix it here anyway. I've got cardboard boxes. It's just they don't fit. You might, you can't get like 9 in, but 8 is too few. They're clanging around. They're not sitting against each other so that they're not banging. But 9 don't fit. So I'd love to find some better way. I have a bunch of empty jars in plastic milk crates, but that's not how you want to store them after they're processed. And storing them in there while they're empty is okay, I guess. A lot of those are out in the doghouse, which I don't even get started on it again. About the contractor not responding to me. I swear I'm going to cancel the contract or something. I don't know. It's just an aggravation I don't want to talk about today. So that's what I'm into. I'm cleaning jars. I'm processing tomatoes into juice. I'm going to take the skins and the pieces and parts that don't get through the sieve, that as I process the juices and stuff, and I'm going to put those in the dehydrator. I haven't tried that before, but there's a YouTube channel called Purposeful Pantry, and Darcy runs that over there, and she has mentioned doing that before. I've watched a lot of her shows. I've got her book on order, and I like the idea of creating a powder out of for lack of a better word, scraps that I can then reincorporate into a chili or a soup or something like that, to get that nutrition and that fiber and stuff, and not to be so wasteful, because I absolutely hate hate to be wasteful. And there are some areas where I'm very wasteful, but where I can, I try not to be. I really try not to be. So enough on that, I think, for a few minutes. I'm waiting to hear. I'm expecting today in the mail. Dad will get his letter with his appointment time for his heart catheterization. I told you last week that his stress test showed, his nuclear stress test showed that he had some areas that may need stented. It wasn't at 100% sure. The doctor said, we're going to do a heart cath. We're going to go in there and check, and I think he may need a stent. And that may help him feel a little better. It's not going to help his arthritis, but it may help his energy level a little bit. That letter had not come, as far as I know, as of yesterday afternoon. Usually they'll tell me, but they didn't. Nobody mentioned it, that it had come. If I don't hear from him today by early afternoon, I'll ask him if he's gotten the letter and find out when that is. That will dictate a lot of things. It could potentially cause me to have to pre-record either Friday or a Tuesday show, depending on when he goes. I think a lot of times they do those heart caths on Fridays. I won't swear to it now. It just seems to me they do. So we'll see how that goes. I do have a guest coming this weekend as we roll into Holstein House, the bed and breakfast part. We do have a young man coming in. He's traveling down to Georgia. He's going to be staying with us Friday night. And hopefully that won't interfere. I won't be able to cancel him, but hopefully that won't interfere with his visit here at all. And I hope if by some chance it causes me to be late meeting him here, he is understanding of that, because that's not something that's within my control. And I want to be careful that I'm not borrowing trouble, because it may not even be on Friday, but we'll see. So far as I'm aware, there's been no call, there's been no letter yet with the appointment. And that's the strangest thing, because that doctor will just up and send you an appointment, and then it's up to you to call and say, I can't make that, which sounds to me like it's just a waste of time. I would think you would rather work it out than to send something and have to have it canceled. So, and I've had a doctor. Oh, I got a call. I had a doctor's office reschedule or call and tell me they had to move one of my appointments. It reminds me I got to call and take care of that. I haven't been back to the dentist yet. I got to get a hold of them and see about this tooth. It's still pretty tender, so I don't know. I may wait it out. It doesn't seem to be quite as sensitive, but I don't want to let it get abscessed, because, oh my gosh, I've seen people with abscessed teeth, and it's just awful, and I don't want to do that. So the front porch vegetables are still, well, the strawberry plants, like I told you, are still producing kind of well. They're hit and miss now. You may get a couple here and a couple there, but I suspect that the plant itself is aging, and at the time, because they don't produce all the time anyway, so I figure it's starting to wind down out there, and it'll be the end of the season for that. Then I have to decide how I'm going to take care of those plants. Hello, my channel. How are you? Catching up 30 minutes behind. Oh, don't rush it. Don't rush it. You'll be just fine. The strawberries are winding down. I have to decide how to take care of them. I tried to, and I actually technically did save the very, very large fern that I bought last year for the front porch. It still has a couple fronds on it, even still yet. It's outside. It did okay. The ducks kind of hit it pretty hard there for a little while, so it hasn't had a good 2023 at all. But I did technically keep it, because it didn't completely die, but it's just about is. And I have the grow light for the basement, but I guess I didn't have it set right. I don't know. It was it stayed fine for a long time, and then it just kind of up and died. So I don't know if it's because it's a hothouse variety, because it came from a, um, a company that grows flowers and sells them at the farmers markets and stuff. If it's just a kind that's not really engineered anymore for longevity. But I'd like to bring the strawberries in like I did that, but I don't. I got to figure out how to get that light set. It's got LED lights. It's got a set of blue ones and it's got a set of red ones. And there's some way you're supposed to alternate them or something and figure out whether they're right or not. And then, but if you have a power blink, you got to go and do it again. I just didn't get it done right. And I'd like to be able to I'd like to be able to keep those strawberries going. I'll have to trim some off. They're still hanging with babies about like, 3 feet or so. And I'll have to trim some of those back, but they're still hanging in there. I'd like to be able to keep them. They're gorgeous. I like the idea of having that on the front porch rather than my geraniums. Although I love my geraniums, I love my red geraniums, but the idea of having those out there, because they're producing foods and guests can have, help yourself pinch a strawberry off. It'll be great, or if you'd like some with some yogurt or something, that would be great. So I do like that idea. I don't like the idea of buying them again. So if I can keep them alive, I'd just as soon keep them alive. They take so much water. I have to water them twice a day. So even in the basement, I'd have to be down to watering them twice a day or something. I did get it's one of those miniature greenhouses at Rural King the other day. I don't have it put together yet. My thought was I would put up some herbs and things that I can't do here in the house because I don't have the setup here inside the house to have like an herb window or whatever. But and I don't use a lot of them, fresh herbs, but I thought, well, I could do some for drying, So it's just a few things that I have to think through before I can get that. But I did get it. I do want to get it set up. I'd kind of like to set it here just outside this window where I'm at now, which is an east-facing wall. And so that would get the east-facing morning light and early afternoon and stuff. So I think that would be a good spot for it. I just have to make it happen. I do have some soil I can put out for it and get some things started and try those and see how they go. About the only thing I can tell you what's going on in the local area right now, because I don't have all my links worked out today. I've been so busy. I didn't get everything put together like I should have, is the state fair. The state fair is in full swing in Lewisburg. Or actually, it's in Farley. Now, it used to be you always said Lewisburg, but Farley is about 5 minutes or so past Lewisburg. It's a little suburb, and that's where all the infrastructure is for the state fair. And it's fun to go up there. I haven't been up there in a long time, but it's fun. I really haven't been much of anywhere in a long time because there's just so much going on around here. Just rather than just regular day-to-day laundry and keeping house, there's just always something going on that takes a lot of time, that keeps me very, very busy. This week over at the church, of course, we're having our Bibles and brunch. We're still doing the book of Revelation. We're in chapter 7. We start chapter 7 this week. And it's a really good series. I'm not going to get too preachy here today, but it's a really good series of videos that we're watching and then discussing afterwards. One of the guys that is a presenter, he speaks so fast. And the book of Revelation is a challenge for most of us anyway, because there's a lot of symbolism there. And if you're not much of a scholar, you may have read through the Bible a couple of times, but you're not really a scholar where you can say, oh, you see this over here in the book of Daniel, then it can be very confusing and you kind of need a little extra time to digest that. But the other two, it's like 3 presenters and they take turns. But it's really a good discussion. It's a good discussion. But then our our lunch and learn, which we'll have after that this week, we'll have our guest speaker will be from the Heart and Hand Ministries. And Heart and Hand is a lot like your Salvation Armies, your Red Cross, your Goodwill, but it's affiliated with the Methodist Church here, and it is they have a food pantry, they have clothing, they have furniture, just thrift shop, and they have they're going to do a hike for hunger. It's a fundraising hike here pretty soon. She's going to be Jenny's going to be speaking on that Wednesday. And they have they have a backpack program for the elementary schools, and they have something at the high school. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but she'll be coming in to speak on that. And so lunch is free for those who attend. I hope I have enough. We've got it advertised over on Facebook, and people will like something. They'll say they like it. That doesn't mean they're coming, but there's a lot of people who'd like that one, and hopefully they'll be here. I did have a good experience. I'll share with you on that. I had to do some notary work yesterday at a nursing home, and the lady was she bright and sassy, man. I mean, she really was, and her son was there. Her son's the one that reached out to me and asked if I could come in and notarize some papers for his mother. And I said, yeah, you have to understand that if I do this, first off, my travel fee is not refundable. And if I get there and she's not competent, or she's sedated, or for any reason I suspect that she is not able to understand what's going on, it's not going to happen. And then if it does happen, it's the state maximum in West Virginia to notarize a signature is $5. So it would be $5 per person whose signature I notarize. And you had to provide any witnesses, because the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to travel there, and I'm going to be a disinterested third party verifying identification and watching you guys sign. That's how that goes. So, but in the process, I went up there and was talking, and the young man, he was not much younger than me, but he was talking about a show called The Chosen, and I've heard about that before, but I never watched it. And he says, oh, it's on Amazon, has it now. If you have Amazon Prime, and I think Roku has it, he says you can watch it, as part of your Amazon Prime subscription. And I said, well, I may look that up. Well, I did. I looked it up yesterday afternoon, and it's kind of slow for me, but it's still pretty good. And it's the same company that did the miniseries The Bible here a couple years ago or so, a new version, not some of the 1980s versions, but it's pretty good. I got through the first couple of seasons before I started having issues with getting the birds put to bed and the dogs let out and all those things. So I got to figure out where I left off and start running it again. But it was pretty good. Now, it's filling in a lot. So you take a piece of scripture, say Christ when he was 12 years old, teaching in the synagogue, and we don't know a lot of what happened, other than we know that they came in for the census. He was in the temple. His parents left. They figured out a day and a half later he wasn't there. And went back to get him, but there's a lot of lifestyle things that have been filled in. I mean, it's a show, and so there's 1,000,002 different interpretations, cinematic interpretations of the scripture. That the only thing they add to it is maybe there's a smile, maybe there's a different color sandal or something. So this is kind of filling in, and showing some chuckling, some laughter, some dinner conversations that probably, may or may not ever happened. You don't know, different perspectives, but it's all based on the cultural expectations and lives of people during the early, AD 20s, AD 30s. in that region of the world. So in general, Jewish women kept their head covered when there were strangers around. They wore long clothes. They cooked this way. They did these things. They had this meal. They did, and so those things, the general things, the day-to-day life things, are filled in on this show, The Chosen. But so far, it's been pretty good. A little slow, like I said, but it's been pretty good. Now, next Wednesday, our church Lunch and Learn is going to have a representative from AARP there talking about avoiding frauds and scams. Then after that, I'm going to do a workshop again on dehydration or dehydrating foods. So that's part of I'm going to do with the tomatoes that I talked about earlier. I'm going to take the meat and the skins and the seeds and the things, and I'm going to dehydrate those, and then I'm going to powder those, and I'm going to have those for an example for that dehydrating workshop, and share that with everybody there. So let's see. I think that's really I'm really about finished up there. I do want to remind you that if you're traveling to or through West Virginia using the Turnpike, which is Interstates 64 and 77, and you need a spot to stop, please consider staying at Holstein House. Now you can go to robinholstein.com and look up Holstein House on the menu, and then select either Airbnb, which is fine, don't mind, that's fine, or you can direct book. And direct book guests get you can use the promotional code podcast5, PODCAST5, get a 5% discount on your stay. You also get an option for coffees and chocolates. It's a little package we've got put together, and I'm working on a couple other ones as fall rolls around. Be interested to hear what kind of packages you would like. Do you like candies? Do you like having candies? Would you rather have flowers? I mean, some of the ladies may like flowers. I doubt that the guys do, but who knows in today's world. Direct book guest, maybe a banana bread or a pumpkin bread at breakfast or something. That just give me an idea. Give me a comment about those kind of things that you might think you'd like to try if you were to stay here. I do take Bitcoin. Bitcoin guests would get a QR code, and I would build in an additional 10%, so a total of 15% discount on your stay if you wanted to use Bitcoin. Reach out to me, and we will work that out. I'm going to also have a discount for those traveling down to the Self-Reliance Festival in Tennessee coming up in October. So stay tuned for that. I'll share that information here. I may revive. I used to do a newsletter. I haven't done one in ages, but the more and more I see people getting canceled and for just odd comments. I saw the other day that SOE Tactical had been booted off YouTube again for another week for something strange that hadn't even published yet. A video they'd uploaded, but it hadn't even published yet. So there's got and I'm thinking I can revive that without too much trouble. Maybe just sending it out monthly, early in the month, so that any discounts and things would get to you ahead of time. But we'll see. I'm also considering, and I mentioned this before, opening up the yard for anyone who's traveling down to Self-Reliance Festival or to work at Tim Cook's place. I think they're going to have a working day down at his place. A couple days ahead of Self-Reliance Festival. If you want to come and you want to, camp out in the yard, we've got space comfortable enough, I think, for 3 or 4 tents, and I can have a privy set up for the nights. I mean, you would be more than welcome to come in through the day, but then, of course, after we go to bed, some people get up in the dark and have to go. So I've got a plan for that, but. If you're interested in it, let me know. Just put in the comments or email me or something. And if you, if you're interested in the Telegram group, it's the Holstein House group on Telegram, t.me slowdownrobint.me/Holstein House. And you should be able to find it over there. If you can't, let me know and I'll get you connected up. It may make you wait for me to let you in. I get hit with spam bots every now and again, or people from countries that spell their names all in consonants that send me, I'm sorry to pester you, but this is great kind of stuff. And it's a scam. It's just terrible. So I'm going to start winding down now and call it. I appreciate everybody stopping by, and hope you have a great week or early part of the week. We will be back on Friday, so far as I know, as long as Dad's not scheduled for Heart Cath on Friday morning. We will be here Friday at 10 o'clock for Friday Live Unscripted. And I'm going to go for now. And thank you for joining us, and come back and visit with us again. Take care. Bye-bye.